in that I am an interim director, but it's my full intention to apply for a permanent appointment. And I've said this partly in response to the staff uncertainty about leadership. I know that's important, and it's my intention to be around long enough to have that stability be a reality for staff. And with the move to a system of care delivery system, I've also said that there's no intention on my part nor the agency's part to shift the mental health director. I intend to stay in the role of mental health director along with the transition into a real systems of care delivery system. And I think that what I'm hoping that the mental health board and the staff that are here, and of course all the staff that are over at the mental health department, and truthfully all the staff that are in the Health and Human Service Agency, a systems of care is really going to allow us to provide better services to clients. And I believe that we are really going to see morale improve when staff come to work and feel good about the work that they do and feel like they've accomplished some of those really important things. And that's going to be easier to accomplish in a structure that supports that. I come from a system of care background. I've seen it work. We've accomplished a lot in this county in children's system of care, and I think we can apply those same principles to the agency as a whole. We are in the process of actually looking at daily activity. One of the ways that we're going to be able to support bringing clients home from out of the county or keeping clients here in this county with a lot of supportive services is to look at how we're allocating staff. So we're looking at it shift by shift, particularly in our psychiatric emergency services, to see how much activity is on those shifts and whether or not that we need to reallocate staff in a way that allows them to be here during the day and work one-on-one with mentally ill clients. The other thing that management has been doing that I'm not sure we've communicated clearly enough to staff, but we really have been meeting with our community partners. We've been meeting with law enforcement. We've been meeting with the medical community. We've been meeting with our community health partners because we want the community to understand that mental health does have limited funding. And because we've been a 24/7 facility, there's been an inclination and sort of a culture built in the county that if you have somebody who's got some behavioral issue or some challenge that you don't know what to do with, just take them over to the mental health department or take them to the ER and call mental health. And clearly with substance abuse being a huge issue in this county, impacting every service, that is not something that's just mental health's purview. And we know that we're going to need community support and partnership to really deal with that problem. And lastly, there was one little thing in the report that I just didn't want to go unanswered, and that was around therapeutic behavioral services. I think when they met with Children's Services, there was some concern that we were not providing therapeutic behavioral services as mandated by law. And that's not really true. We have a clinical review team that's locally known as the Muppets, where all referrals for those services are examined weekly. And a lot of those come from out-of-county resources. So your residential facilities will ask for additional services for children that are in those facilities. But for any of those children that are in this county, we actually either do them internally when we have staff or we refer them to our organizational providers such as Redwood Children's or Tapestry, because we don't hospitalize children in lieu of providing those services. So it was really important for me that you didn't think that that's what was happening. Thank you very much. And I'm hoping next year we can have a very positive mental health month.
Comment, Supervisor Colfax.
Well, thank you for your comments. I just have one question here. Paying attention to what has been happening in the an adjacent county over the last year or two, I wonder, with regard to the goals for 20809, the first one promoting crisis intervention training for law enforcement. I think we've had a pretty good record here in recent past, but I think here the epidemic almost of problems in Sonoma County is something that we want to make sure we avoid. Has there been some
we've had discussions with law enforcement. We have had discussions with law enforcement. They have some training that they think meets this need, and we did say that we would continue to explore it. The real challenge with law enforcement is to provide training and bring everybody off the beat out of service to attend the training. So you need to be pretty strategic in how you provide the training, but we have had those discussions. And I don't think law enforcement feels as that there is neglecting of those of the mental health issues as maybe has been previously stated.
And the funding for that would conceivably come out of law enforcement rather than mental health, given the limitations, especially on mental health?
Yeah, I don't have a secret pot of money in mental health anywhere for that particular purpose. So the way I would work it is if we really saw a need that we really had to do some training, we would certainly at least try to provide staff that could help participate in that training. I don't know that we'd have particular funds, but then again, we're pulling staff, office services and mental health, and law enforcement would be faced with the same sort of reality. They're pulling a police officer off the beat in the community. We'd have to be very strategic about it.
Right. Well, I'd like to encourage any effort in that direction. I've seen some training being put in place, so the very, very costly alternative of having untrained people or insensitive individuals committing acts that we all suffer for, some people very badly, is something we want to make sure we avoid. So whatever you can do in terms of getting funding, and I think supervisors would be anxious to support that particular undertaking.
I'll make a note of that.
Thank you. I'm only one supervisor.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Pinches.
I think that the mental health department, the mental health board, has come a long way in my observation, being part of it for the last year and a half. You know, they had to deal with the deficit, and then of course decreasing funding, and the amount of services are always more than there's any amount of dollars to provide. But I really think that the mental health department, and with Carmel at the head, I compliment her. I compliment the mental health board, and of course Mary Elliott. I think she's come in there and really kind of saved the day. I mean, there's a lot of issues that are very controversial when you get into the funding and whatnot. But I think we have some strong leadership now, and the integration, I think, is proving already to be a kind of a lifesaver for not only mental health, but the coordination between there and social services has been great, and it's been able to continue some programs and keep some things going that normally would probably got the budget acts. So I think that it's, and I personally want to thank the members on the board for their service and their hours of dedication to it. I appreciate it. So thank you.
Supervisor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A concern I have that's not really addressed here in this sort of overview is and if the board, any of the board members would want to comment, as well as staff, perhaps Ms. Angelo, what with the new consolidation and interface of our Health and Human Service Agency functions, what are we doing to really work more closely with law enforcement, and especially in terms of the aspect of incarceration services for those that are in the county jail? What about discharge planning? What are we doing? Because this is clearly a growing issue. It's not just Mendocino County, obviously, right, that jails more and more become holding facilities for the mentally ill, and it's not cost effective, it's inappropriate in terms of addressing their real critical needs. What are we doing to take steps to try to bridge this divide and do a more comprehensive planning process that's more appropriate for those that are in the county jail?
Okay. Chairman Wattenberger, Supervisor Smith. Thank you. That's actually a really critical area in mental health services, and actually health services, I think, throughout the state. I'm actually involved in a group with 6 other counties right now, Sonoma, Solano, Marin, Mendocino, Lake, and a couple others, actually looking at healthcare services and also looking at criminal justice. And clearly Sonoma County has very